Hey guys, with the recent release of the Disney Pixar animated film The Incredibles 2, we thought we'd take a moment to shine a spotlight on the original film.
The Incredibles, released in 2004, became an international success, grossing...
No, hold on. I thought we weren't going to do that anymore.
Do what?
The whole, it grossed this much domestically, this much overseas, what the critical response from either the moviegoers or the critics was.
You mean stick closer to what this show's really about?
Yes, the details, the things that you and I thought were the most interesting tidbits of information, about the film.
I agree. This has been getting away from me a little lately. No more boring statistics.
Now you're talking.
It did get a 97% approval rating on RottenTomato.com. The Incredibles as a concept dates back to 1993 when Bird first sketched the family during a period in which he tried to break into film.
Personal issues had percolated into the story as they weighed on him in his life.
During this time, Bird had inked a production deal with Warner Brothers Animation and was in the process of directing his first feature, The Iron Giant.
Approaching middle age and having high aspirations for his filmmaking, Bird pondered whether his career goals were attainable only at the price of his family life.
Right. First a car, now I gotta pay to fix a table.
The car? What happened to the car?
He stated that consciously, this was just a funny movie about superheroes, but he thought that what was going on in his life at the time definitely filtered into the film.
After the box office failure of The Iron Giant, mostly due to Warner Brothers' poor management of the film's ad campaign, Bird gravitated towards his superhero story.
He imagined it as an homage to the 1960s comic books and spy films from his boyhood, and he initially tried to develop it as a 2D cell animation.
When The Iron Giant tanked at the box office, he reconnected with his old friend John Lasseter at Pixar in March 2000 and pitched his story idea to him.
Bird and Lasseter knew each other from their college years at CalArts in the 1970s, spending much of their time in classroom A113.
Should that ring any bells?
Not really, it's just in every single Pixar film ever.
I thought the Pizza Planet delivery truck was in every single Pixar film.
Ironically, The Incredibles is the only Pixar film where the delivery pickup truck does not make an appearance.
Fair enough, but I think we're getting a little bit off track.
After Bird had walked Lasseter through the story, Lasseter was sold on the idea and convinced Bird to come to Pixar, where the film would be done in computer animation.
The studio announced a multi-film contract with Bird on May 4th, 2000, breaking Pixar's mold of having directors who had all risen through the ranks.
The Incredibles was written and directed solely by Brad Bird, a departure from previous Pixar productions, which typically had 2 or 3 directors and as many screenwriters.
In addition, it would be the company's first film in which all characters were human.
Bird gave the Parr family their powers based on their archetypes as seen through his own eyes. For Bob Parr, Mr. Incredible, he saw the father as the pillar of the family, so he made him strong.
For Helen Parr, or Elastigirl, he said that he felt that moms are always stretched in every direction, like taffy.
For Violet Parr, her powers very much reflected how a young teenage girl might feel, insecure and defensive, so he gave her the power of invisibility and the ability to throw up shields.
Dashiell Parr, or Dash, is very much what most 10-year-old boys are like, hyperactive balls of energy.
And of course, there's the baby, Jack-Jack. For Bird, babies are simply unrealized potential, explaining why Jack-Jack was able to shapeshift into a variety of very distinct mutations.
Jack-Jack was also supposed to be able to transform himself into a gelatinous pile of goo, but the production team simply ran out of time and it was cut from the film.
Beyond their powers, Bird came to Pixar with the lineup of the story's family members worked out. A mom and dad, both suffering through the dad's midlife crisis, a shy teenage girl, a cocky 10-year-old boy, and a baby.
After several failed attempts to cast Edna Mode, the superhero seamstress, Bird took on her voice role himself.
It was an extension of the Pixar custom of tapping in-house staff whose voices came across particularly well on scratch dialogue tracks.
Yes, words are useless. Gobble, 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 gobble. Too much of it, darling, too much.
Upon Pixar's acceptance of the project, Brad Bird was asked to bring his own team for the production. He brought up a core group of people he had worked with on The Iron Giant.
Because of this, many 2D artists had to make the shift to 3D, including Bird himself. Bird found working with CG wonderfully malleable, in a way that traditional animation is not, calling the camera's ability to easily switch angles in any given scene marvelously adaptable.
He found working in computer animation difficult in a different way than working traditionally, finding the software sophisticated yet not particularly friendly.
God, it takes so long to put these things together, but when they're finally together, you're kind of shocked.
Bird wrote the script without knowing the limitations or concerns that went hand in hand with the medium of computer animation. As a result, this was to be the most complex film yet for Pixar.
The film's characters were designed by Tony Fusil and Teddy Newton, whom Bird had brought with him from Warner Brothers.
Like most computer animated films, The Incredibles had a year-long period of building the film from the inside out, modeling the exterior and understanding controls that would work the face and the body, the articulation of the character, before animation could even begin.
Bird and Fusil tried to emphasize the graphic quality of good 2D animation to the Pixar team, who had only worked primarily in CG.
For the technical crew members, the film's human characters posed a difficult set of challenges. Bird's story was filled with elements that were difficult to animate with CGI back then.
One shot in particular gave the animators a lot of trouble was when Mr. Incredible passed his hand through the tear of his supersuit.
Humans are widely considered to be the most difficult things to execute convincingly in animation. Pixar's animators filmed themselves walking to better grasp proper human motion.
Creating an all-human cast required creating new technology to animate detailed human anatomy, clothing, and realistic skin and hair.
Although the technical team had some experience with hair and clothes in Monsters, Inc., the amount of hair and clothes required for The Incredibles had never been done by Pixar up until this point.
Moreover, Bird would tolerate no compromises for the sake of technical simplicity. The technical team on Monsters, Inc. had persuaded director Pete Docter to accept pigtails on Boo to make her hair easier to animate.
But the character Violet had to have long hair and obscured her face. In fact, this was integral to the character. Violet's long hair, which was extremely difficult to animate, was only successfully animated toward the end of the production.
In addition, animators had to adapt to having hair both underwater and blowing through the wind.
Disney was initially reluctant to make the film because of these issues, thinking that a live-action film would be preferable, but Lasseter denied this.
Not only did The Incredibles cope with the difficulty of animating CG humans, but also many other complications. The story was bigger than any prior story at the studio, was longer in running time, and had 4 times the number of locations.
Supervising technical director Rick Sayre noted that the hardest thing about the film was that there was no hardest thing, alluding to the amount of new technical challenges. Fire, water, air, smoke, steam, and explosions were all additional to the new difficulty of working with humans.
The film's organizational structure could not be mapped out like previous Pixar features, and it became a running joke to the team.
All our films are challenges. There's always something. We don't know how we're going to do that.
Sarah said the team adopted Alpha Omega, where one team was concerned with building, modeling, shading, and layout, while another dealt with the final camera, lighting, and effects.
Another team, dubbed the Character Team, digitally sculpted, rigged, and shaded all of the characters, and a simulation team was responsible for developing simulation technology for hair and clothing.
There were at least 781 visual effects shots in the film, and they were quite often visual gags, such as a window shattering when Bob angrily shuts the car door.
Additionally, the effects team improved their modeling of clouds using volumetric rendering for the first time.
The skin of the characters gained a new level of realism from a technology known as subsurface scattering.
The challenges did not stop with modeling humans.
Coming back to those Jack-Jack transformations that I mentioned earlier that occurred near the end of the film, the technical directors, who anticipated spending 2 months or even longer to work out the goo effect, stealing precious hours from the production that had already entered its final and most critical stages, petitioned the film's producer, John Walker, for help.
Bird, who had himself brought Walker over from Warner Brothers to work on the project, was at first immovable. But after arguing with Walker in several invective-laced meetings over the course of 2 months, Bird finally conceded.
Well, I'll argue with you about gooey Jack-Jack. I won't argue with you.
Hey, did I not cut it?
You did. And
I cut it.
That's excellent. That was an excellent decision. One of your best.
Bird also insisted that the storyboards define the blocking of characters' motions, lighting, and camera movements, which had previously been left to other departments rather than storyboarded.
Bird admitted that he had the knees of the studio trembling under the weight of The Incredibles, but called the film a testament to the talent of the animators at Pixar, who were admiring the challenges the film provoked.
He recalled that basically he came into a wonderful studio, frightened a lot of people with how many presents he wanted for Christmas, and then got almost everything he asked for.
We really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode.
A great big hug to our wonderful patrons. If you would like to help support this channel for as little as $1 a month, you can do so by clicking on the link down below.
Thank you to everyone who continues to watch, like, share, and subscribe.
Have you seen The Incredibles 2 yet?
How do you think it stacks up to the original?
Let us know in the comments section.
Thank you.
We love you.
Good night.